Okay, so yesterday we talked about factoring out the greatest common factor. We talked about foiling, and we talked about factoring differences of two squares. Right? Now we're going to talk about factoring quadratic trinomials. How will I know it's a quadratic trinomial? Sal?
Quadratics are in the form like y equals ax squared times bx times c, or plus c.
Right. So there is going to be an x squared in there, right? Because that's what's going to make it a quadratic. Now it's not going to be this. I'm not going to talk about equations today. I'm only going to talk about a trinomial, which is an expression. Okay. An equation has an equal sign, like Sal was saying, y equals this trinomial. Well, I'm only going to talk about the trinomial itself, okay? Not the y equals that trinomial. So, if I had x squared plus 8x plus 15, I immediately see, oh, it's just a quadratic trinomial. I always ask, my first question always, that I always ask, always. Did I say always?
No.
Always ask, always. Okay, this question, can I factor out the greatest common factor? All right? Can I?
No.
No, there's nothing that's common in all three
Except
terms.
for 1.
Except
Not
1,
useful.
and that doesn't change anything. If I factor out a 1, I'd get 1 times x squared plus
Yay!
8x plus 15. Like, then I could factor out another 1, and then another 1, and I could do it forever. All right? So
1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times
Yeah.
1 times 1 times x squared plus 8x.
So when you have a trinomial and there's nothing you can do to factor out greatest common factor, you put your two sets of parentheses and you're actually going to try to factor it. And the first is really easy because what do you have to get x squared? X and x. That's really easy. Now the next part is I look at the last number.
Is it
And I'm looking for factors of 15. That means two numbers that multiply to get 15. That's what a factor is, right? Two numbers that multiply together to get 15. And add to 8, the middle term. Two numbers. So 5 times 3 is 18. 5 plus 3 is 8. There we go. So 5 plus 3, 5 plus 8. Does that make sense?
5 plus 8, not...
Because we did 3 times...
Gary, it's supposed to be a 5, not an 8.
Oops, sorry.
The second
What
one.
did I just do?
You
Oh,
wrote
yeah,
x
oh, I
plus
see.
8
Yeah.
instead of x
Right.
plus 5.
3 times 5 is equal to 15, but 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. So it's going to be 3 and 5. Now, I just want to look at signs for just a second. I have it's x squared plus 8x plus 15. There are no negatives in this at all, right? If there are no negatives, there are no negatives in your answer. They're going to be all pluses, right? Because there's no room for negatives if everything's plus. Yes, Sal?
So wait, so if that first, if the bx is negative, then both the signs would be negative?
Yes.
And then if the cx, or the c is negative, then only one of the signs would be negative.
Correct. So remember FOIL. The first times the outside times the inside times the last, right? Inside times the last. So always check this, and I say this every year. I say this every year, and nobody, maybe like 2 people do it on a regular basis, and nobody else does. And they always get them wrong on the test, and I ask, why did you get it wrong? You should have checked, right? So x times x is x squared. 5x is my outside plus 3x. 5x plus 3x is 8x, both sides, right? 3 times 5 is 15. It's so quick and easy to check, right? The big thing is usually you're going to be right on the x and the x and the 3 and the 5, but you're going to be possibly wrong on the middle one, right? You might choose, like, let's say I did this one. Let's say I did x squared, let me think,
Plus 1.
plus, let me think for a second.
I don't think anything's gonna work on this.
Plus
Like that.
12. 7.
Okay, 12. Okay, so x squared plus 7x plus 12, right? So somebody could try this. They could say, oh, well, it's x, and they're both positive, so they're going to both be positive for sure. And then 12 is 2 times 6, so they immediately do that, and they think, and then they move on to the next problem without checking. What's wrong with that?
It's 8.
That's 8, right? 6x plus 2x is 8x. Therefore, I found the wrong factor of 12. Are there other factors of 12? Yes.
It's x plus 3 and x plus 4.
X plus 3 and x plus 4, because 3 times 4 is 12. 3 plus 4 is 7. That's what I wanted. So 3 and 4. Good. Awesome. Now, as Sal was, yes, Nathan.
I think Sal might already said this, but so how do you get your sign? How do you know that they're positive?
Okay, because think about it. You're looking for factors of positive 12 that add to a positive 7.
Okay.
So if there's two ways to get a positive 12. To have
2 negative.
2 negatives or 2 positives. But if I had 2 negatives and I added them together, I'd get negative 7x. Right? If I had 2 positives, I'd add them together and I'd get a positive 7x.
So
if I did this, if I had
Yay, positive, negative.
If I had x squared minus 7x plus 12, the same thing as this, except that's a minus. The only way I could get a positive 12 and negative 7 would be factors of 12 that add to negative 7. Well, it can't be 3 times 4, because that equals positive 7. It would have to be negative 3 times negative 4, right? So I would put negative 3 here and negative 4 here.
Because that times that is so
So you know,
Yeah, negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12.
the sign before the middle term,
So, yes.
it's positive. I mean, if it's
If this is positive, okay, so this is what you need to understand. If this last sign is positive, then both of these signs have to be the same, right? Because positive times positive is positive, negative times negative is positive. Both of these have to be the same sign. Looking at the first sign, though, and the sign in front of the middle number, if it is negative, both of them are going to be negative. If it is positive, both of them are going to be positive. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so now what if I did a mixed one? What if I did this? X squared minus 6x minus 8. Wait a minute, hang on. This is not going to work. Sorry. Minus, what did I just do?
X squared minus 6x.
Oh,
If you do
well,
plus 8, it works. Or
no,
plus 6x.
no, I think that'll work. Wait, am I doing this wrong?
Are
No,
you
I'm
sure?
doing this wrong. Sorry. Jeez.
Ah,
Minus 2x. Sorry. Is that right?
I think so.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
works.
that works. Okay, so x squared minus 2x minus 8. So I'm going to have x here and x here, because that's how I get my x squared. There's no greatest common factor that I can do. And so now I'm asking myself, I want factors of negative 8. The only way I can get negative 8 is if one of them is
Negative.
negative and one of them is positive. So immediately I know that one of them is going to be negative, one's going to be positive. So I put my plus and my minus right there. So I'm going to have, okay, so I have to have factors of negative 8 that add to negative 2. Well, I could do negative 2 times 4, or I could do 2 times negative 4, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Which one of these, if I add them together, would give me negative 2?
The second.
Negative
This one, right? This one. So I have to have my negative with the 4 and my positive with the 2. And now I'm going to check it. I'm going to check it. Negative 4x plus 2x is negative 2x. That's correct. Right?
That's insane.
Yeah? So they're really easy. They really are easy, right? They're really easy. But check your work each time. Yes?
I had asked for a couple more minutes.
They asked for it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
They asked for it?
Great. Usually I'm the one that asks for it. You know, it's like I'm always feeling guilty. So let me just see if there's anything else on this homework that I haven't covered.
No, it's not. No, you need to give it to us. It does you. That's
Give it to me.
All right, you want me to just give it to you?
Yes.
Are we gonna get like books?
Let me just turn my
Hopefully not.
thing off.